painter Larry Rivers found his way into the first rank of American contemporary artists by a characteristically eccentric route. He was one of the most distinctive talents to emerge from the Beat generation, the New York bohemia that included his friends Allen Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac. He'd begun to paint in the 1940s, and over the decades his defiantly individual style has led him to experiment with sculpture, with found images like photographs and graphics, and more recently with video. He'd started out as a musician. He was a Juilliard music scholar. He played tenor sax in a jazz band. At one point he nearly gave up painting to write poetry, and he even won the television quiz game, the $64,000 question, answering questions on modern art. Rivers is now in his 60s and still looking to new forms and new methods in his art. We introduced him to the Quantel Paintbox, a graphics computer that can store and manipulate images. The artist can quite literally paint with light directly onto the television screen. He works on a blank surface with an electronic pen and palette, which can be adapted to produce whatever effects he needs. Rivers arrived for his day on the Paintbox with ideas for 2 new images he wanted to make, but he began by feeding into the computer one found image that he's used often in his paintings, the Webster's cigar box.
This is a commercial artist version of Daniel Webster. He was a United States Senator in the 19th century. But there's a daguerreotype that exists that I would like to replace this face with, this face. Right. To take the place of that face. Can we look through
we'll
to
just have
find
a look.
It? Yeah. So we're making a stencil now, right?
Yeah.
Which will enable us to sort of move it out of its...
To lift it off the image itself. So that's...
There you go.
So if I use that and then go back in the paste up.
Would you believe that that face is...
That's what we've got.
Yeah. Daniel Webster. Okay.
With the help of his assistant Richard Bain, Rivers used the Webster image to explore the abilities of the Paintbox.
Now, a lot of these things I'm seeing for the first time. I mean, in other words, you try things, after one look at it, you just sort of say, well, I don't know if I'm really crazy about that. But sometimes you have to go into depth. I want to now get a little yellow in that. The immediacy of getting that kind of density in color can't be denied. It's really fantastic. Now, another artist could tell me, listen, I can come into your studio and in a half hour I can show you how to get that with oil paint. Well, that's something else. Some people would give up. If they can't get it exactly the way they want it, they wouldn't go on. I'm certainly willing to try, and there are things about it that are quite enjoyable. There's some physical pleasure in starting to fill up the surface with different colors and forms. And this paint box, it falls probably into the category of variety as, you know, the spice of life. It kind of resembles what I do all the time, but it's far enough away to give me a kind of zestful feeling, a kind of a thrill. So if I'm just enjoying a toy, let me enjoy it. No.
For the next 8 hours, Rivers worked on the Paintbox. He devoted the morning to a painting made from a snapshot of 2 friends, using his familiar technique of working from photographs. He used the rest of the day for a portrait from life. The sitter was Green, the lead singer from the pop group Scritti Politti, himself an ex-art student.
So what you're going to do is you're going to put stencil around this figure and make your own version of it.
Yes.
So it's like an overlay.
Yeah.
So we're going to add stencil, and we're going to make the stencil, say, I don't know what colour you want.
Yeah.
Maybe a white or grey or something like that.
Well, in this sense, no, it could be a grey probably.
Fine.
Okay, and we'll get rid of that later. But I got to choose the grey now.
Yes.
Okay, so here is our cross, and we're now choosing the gray. And the way I know we have the gray is because if you follow the cross, it exists right here.
Yeah, that tells you the colour.
And this is the size of my brush.
Yeah.
in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ratio.
Yeah.
That's number 2.
Yeah.
And since these figures are pretty small, I'm going to need a thin brush. All right, let's see what this starts to look like.
Right, remember
I wipe away the color,
that's right.
and I begin. All right. For the first moment, we won't get too heavily realistic. We'll just get the size. This is the man who I'm putting some white lines around is a man called Jimmy Johnson. I took the photograph out in Southampton. What I liked, I think, about it was the fact that she was pregnant and she didn't come out with anything that hid the, the stomach getting larger. This will then show up later without the photo, right? Then one can begin to work in there. And we'll take a chance would say that gray, we can make it darker, right? Now, if I start to work on it, let's say here, oh, that's all right, let's try it.
No, get rid of the palette before you start painting.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise you'll pick up the background.
I thought I did. This thing is like everything else in life. It works most of the time. Now, that's just fun, right? It's like a little child filling in. Yeah. Okay. What's good about that stencil part is that the figure remains even though I'm going over the line. Now I've got to make my own flesh tone.
You can pinch the flesh tone off the original
Let's
picture.
pinch the flesh tone from the photo. So you're like my studio assistant. He does my work these days. No, I mean, in other words, you bring me to the point where I can go on.
Yeah.
Ooh, skin tone isn't too good. Why don't I use her skin tone for his face? And the color on her shoulder or chest, whatever, is suddenly here now, and I'm going to use that in his face. But I think that it may be better with a 3. Wipe out, and now bring back that...
Bring back your original sketching.
Yeah, sketch. You know, this latest technology takes 20 times longer than a drawing, but it has possibilities that do not exist in the usual studio stuff. So it's the storage and the being able to call back that really sort of is terrific. Okay, now I do away with that, and I'll just give it a little. Ooh, it's too dark. All right, let's now invent a color. But the best way to work with color is to do it through airbrush. To get color, okay, get a little red in there and a little white. I would like a little more yellow maybe in that. All right. This is what is known as Caucasian color. They have tubes of paint called flesh color, and there was a man once out in Oregon who didn't like the idea that the manufacturers of paint thought that the only flesh tone there was Caucasian. I'm not satisfied with the flesh tone. I think I'm going to mix a little more. There we go. Now this should eliminate, right? Yeah. All right. I don't know why that's much better, but still isn't satisfying. This, I believe, is the lady's stomach. And here we have, you know what? I'm just not going to fill it in because I don't like it that much, I believe. Okay, now we can, no one is telling us what to do. Let's move to the landscape. Yes. Okay, I'm going to now, I'll make a few. Now, for the moment, can I change the... I want to change the stencil color to green.
Okay.
So I get a color here, right? Mm-hmm. So draw a stencil.
Yeah. Now drop the green into the white stencil box. That'll change the colour of the stencil.
Right there?
Yeah.
Will it do it?
Yeah.
Got it.
Now you've got green stencil up there.
Oh, all over, though.
All over. You can't... Yeah. No, that's the limitation.
I see. We found a point at which the machine actually can't do something.
Yeah, if you select...
Did the Japanese invent this? The English invented this.
English,
This is right here in this studio.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. Let's be really phony and make believe that house doesn't exist. We'll take that out to the end, all right? Ah!
You see?
Now, it's much better green.
Yeah, because it's the same colour as the foliage. Now that green...
No, but I mean the whole stent, the things that were grey before on the black are much better green, for me. Whether it's much better is a good word, I don't know. But I mean, in other words, I'm liking what I'm doing more when the whole thing, all those little lines are green. If you didn't see that original photograph, don't forget, I'm painting in my studio. No one, what comes out of my studio is the final work. If you didn't see that original photograph, and you just saw this suddenly at some point, you're going to judge this not so much as against that photograph, but what you're just seeing. So you have to, while you're now with me in my process, actually, as a matter of fact, you actually have to be somewhere else, too, which is just to continually see this as an end product in some way. Can you now do that thing you did at the beginning, which is
just
to give me an edge? Yeah, give me an edge.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That's the sort of thing.
Yeah, a little back. Yeah. Well, let's just go a little further. All right. Leave that for the moment.
Right.
And let's say...
Take that edges on.
Yeah, right about there. Okay, that makes it, seems to give it more, there seems to be more pressure on whatever is there, or that they have more force by not having to exert, over such a large area. Aha. Oh, yeah. What are we getting? Why are we getting that? It looks like a grid in there.
Well, that's
okay.
It's really the speed you're painting with, I think.
Okay.
The airbrush is trying to catch up with you all the time.
Okay, now I just wanted to see. Oh. Let me tell you, you have to have the patience of a genius of another age, as I used to say. You have to have the patience of another age. I'm slowly moving towards accepting this almost without features. Let me see if I can work something into the faces of these people. Get her face as big as you can for me.
Right. We'll magnify that portion of her face. Or that part of the picture.
Okay.
So that, see that this box here, that will now be the size of screen.
That's right.
Okay, with her face pretty much in the
There
centre.
you go.
And now you can work on a bit more detail.
You're a genius, Richard. No. No, I don't like it. I will leave it. But let's go on to him. It's too funny. What happened here? Isn't that insane? That's exactly where those glasses are, but look how lopsided. Right. You tell me what that is.
Yeah.
So everybody's so certain that working from photographs is one of these things where you don't have to know anything, and it's just absolutely silly. But I think we have to have something here. It's not too bad. Now let's see if I can just make it look a little more pregnant and then maybe throw in the towel. Let's see, what can we do here? Here is a situation which I encounter many times in my work. I find some photographs that I like. There are elements both from the artistic point of view, the social point of view, my own personal history with these people. And I'm suddenly trying to find if I can end up with either a drawing or a little work that will come out of this photograph, so to speak. So I'm making all kind of markings, and I'm working towards that in my own way. Given this particular machine or toy or whatever you want to call a paint box, the latest technological discovery, I'm trying to sort of do something. There are certain things that are very easy in working this way. Let's say I'm going to do this part here. I mean, I can rarely get something that goes down with that ease. There's always some resistance, or I'm running out of paint and I'm having to go back to the easel. So there are certain advantages that this has, or certain things that make it easy and fun, and I'm trying to see what I can get from it. Well, I'm going to leave it, I think.
Right, we'll save that then. Okay.
Yes, saved. Don't forget, of course. We could have 5 endings, like a movie.
That's right. I mean, you can make any...
We could have every single point recorded.
Yeah. I mean, these are the various steps we've got here. So we can go through these sequentially just to see what we've got.
I see, said the blind man. Okay. Okay, Green, look up. All right, let's see if we can do this. Okay. Let's see if we should now begin. I guess what we could do is just get the shape. Let's get the shape where the eyes are, something like that, and then I could just start. So, now, but you got to...
All right.
Look a little more to me, because I do see both ears.
All
you
right.
got it. Now you are okay. So your eyes are green, aren't they?
I think so.
Green. Is that what they call you, green?
I chose it for myself when I was I've been doing nothing in particular.
To say that you're green means that you're inexperienced. Anyway.
You didn't explain why you liked photographs better.
Why
something
I like photographs better. Well, I told you on the level of not having to deal with
people's
persons.
Characters or the...
No, I mean, you do someone's face, it's not... It's all according to how egocentric or nervous you are about what you look like.
Yes.
I mean, I'll catch
You'll sense it.
that, so
yeah.
to be in the room with the person that I'm painting and having to feel as if everything I do is so important to him,
yeah,
it's a little sort of difficult. So, there it is. No, okay. Now, I've got to get a certain pink baby look that you have, and if we don't get it,
artificially
we'll be here all day, understand? Okay, let's get a... let's see what color that is. Not much better. We can put it in and work with it later. Okay.
Whereabouts? Do you live in Manhattan?
Yes.
Whereabouts?
14th Street.
Really?
The east, what is known as the
East Village.
Are
no,
you from the north?
I'm from Wales originally.
Ooh.
Celtic.
I see. I shouldn't sound ooh like that. I actually, one time in my life, married a girl from Wales.
You're kidding?
Yes. Just to prove how straight I am. No, I actually did marry a girl from Wales. I'm just going to put this... as if this is some kind of weird way of getting at an Andy Warhol. I mean, there's enough of your photo coming through what I'm doing to see what it's about, and I usually find myself thinking of it as being a little too easy, and Andy's things. Soon I'll give up your photograph. I just, somehow I need crutches in certain instances, and then I give it up, and we'll get there. Okay, look at me. You actually have a natural beauty mark. What they call a beauty mark.
This thing.
Like a grain de beauté. A grain of beauty. Or something. Get this color now. Okay, now. Okay. Let's see if I can just concentrate on you for a while now. Okay. It has a certain kind of flatness that, you know, like someone who doesn't know, almost like commercial art. That's what I meant about it. That it gives you a technique that I never thought I had. In other words, I never think of myself as an illustrator in that sense, but there must be something in me that is, because as soon as one or two elements of what I'm doing change, I don't have a sloppy paintbrush, and I don't have...
Isn't it the case that a lot of the sort of way that you went about doing things, perhaps in the 60s and the 70s,
they're more like...
that whole business of sort of leaving things uncompleted and erasing and smudging has gone on to become part of the vocabulary of commercial artists, hasn't it?
It's true.
Which is
in other words, you're never allowed to
me.
stand still and relax. There's always something that's happening that kind of makes something that you've done into a cliche or...
I don't think it's anything that one should try and actively distance yourself from. Perhaps, I don't know what...
Well, no, what I'm trying to say is that I think that this machine sort of suddenly brought out things that I hadn't...
realized you were doing.
Part of my...
Yes.
vocabulary or my bag of tricks.
Yeah.
Maybe they are. Now you've come out come out handsome, but not in the way I see you. Now, what the hell am I supposed to do? Let me see. We'll have to
clearly some mistake.
We'll have to
Clearly some
track.
mistake.
Okay. See if this does something. It's some kind of insane, lightweight notion of Hitler. I'm going to try to work bigger and less delicately. See if I could.
What are you trying to do?
Well, I'm trying to get. You've suddenly developed, because of the position taking, your jacket is sort of looking very weird because it's creeping around your face and things like that. So I'm trying to get it, actually.
Yeah.
Getting worse by the minute, but that...
Really?
I tell you what, let's call up the old shoulders.
The old shoulders?
Yeah, I mean, in other words, let's get back green. You want to take a little stretch?
Oh, okay.
There are like glinting highlights in your hair that I've already given up on, that I first actually thought I could get.
Nice to get, yeah.
Now, you would think a machine like this, I could just press a button that says glinting highlights, and I get it. So I'm back wherever you are. Worse. All right.
Have you selected this thickness of line? I mean, presumably...
Yes, you can. That's what I mean. You want to see where it is? You see these dots here?
Oh, I see, right.
I've chosen the one that's pink as the third. I'll show you a second. Or I'll make it even this one for you.
Yeah.
For a moment, just to give you an idea. Now, you got to take away the palette.
Yeah.
And let's say I want to make a line down here. You see how much heavier that is? But she's acting very stubborn.
What, just here, yeah.
I mean, I couldn't get that line on there for a second.
Just hold the pen slightly more upright.
Do you like to exploit accidents? Are you, I mean, or are you sort of very...
Jazz is an act. I mean,
or are you very concerned to control the whole thing?
No. A certain kind of control, but not, you know, totally. Yeah, everybody goes with accident. You've got to be an idiot say, no, I want to be in total control. Let's act as if all accidents are really for the better. Perfectly black dot in your green eye. Yeah. Okay. Look at me. Have you been taking drugs this afternoon? You have very wide.
No.
Black dots. When I was younger, I could really tell when somebody did. I was just joking with you. But you could tell. Someone, heroin is easy to sort of tell. I can.
Eyes.
I can.
Yeah.
I can.
I guess we can't talk about it, but it's quite, I think it's interesting, because you had, you actually made a point of talking about making art with drugs.
No, the only drug I ever worked with, I never worked with heroin. Never.
You didn't?
Just couldn't. You can't.
Or was it amphetamines?
You want to amphetamines.
Yeah.
Yeah. But most of the things that I did somehow didn't please me very much.
Really?
I'm not trying to be contrite, like in front of the jury and acting sorry for what I did. But actually, a lot of the things I did, I would stamp all night. I could stamp for 3 days.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Some of the things weren't bad. But some of them really weren't very good. I feel as if I'm working with one hand tied behind my back instead of, at this point we're trying to get a kind of
What are we trying to get? Are we trying to get some kind of semblance of me, or something that's pleasing within the frame?
Well, I'm trying to use this apparatus in a way that doesn't differ too much from how I use, say, paint and, you know, a pencil. Somehow it isn't true, and so,
yes.
but we're getting a situation in which color is light, really, and supposed to be sort of more exciting, and yet it is and it isn't. Now when you start mixing all the colors, it really starts to look like something that I'm not sure I like so much, you see. Let me get my telescope out 1 second now. Get the eyes. We have to operate on them. We may as well see what we're doing. Okay. Now.
Didn't you start wasn't doing portraits something that you did very early on? No.
I would do people's portraits, but I never thought that I was always as if.
But you drew your family and things, didn't you? You drew your mother.
But I always think portraits are things that people ask to be done or give you money to do. For me to make a decision to do some people, I didn't think of them as portraits, but I mean, I guess actually.
So if you didn't think of them as portraits, what did you think of them as? Just devices?
I was using things for getting certain ideas, you know, and really is really what it amounted to. Now it's starting to swing a bit. Let's see. Let's spend 5 minutes on your nose.
Yeah.
Right now. Okay.
It deserves at least 5 minutes.
Okay. We've got to get the nose. The nose. Go. We're moving. I could see how if you spent about 6 years on this thing, you could really start. Look at that tone, what it's doing. It took me all day to get that. Oh, God, you see what I just did? You see what happened?
Happily I didn't.
This machine is so fantastic.
Blissfully ignorant.
It's so fantastic in a way.
What's going on?
Mistakes are. Now, let's see. All right. Anyway. You ever go for a note? Oh, you sort of say you're on a thing. But like you go for a note and you really fall about one tone.
Honestly,
less.
yes.
Not because, you know, it just, well, you didn't get it right. But
what do you play?
Tenor sax at the moment.
And you're sort of still out gigging and...
Yeah, we do it. It's a curious audience we have, but what do we care? I mean, we blow.
So do you at all think of sort of the music that you play as at all analogous to the work that you...
I don't. They're two different experiences.
Yes,
don't you find that music is more thrilling?
Absolutely.
In a physical way, it's more sexual, let's say, if you want to use that word.
Yeah.
It has to do with the spine.
I'm very suspicious of anybody ever trying to draw analogies between literature and music or painting and music. I think they are completely different.
There's certain things that you invent in ways that perhaps can be, if you've got a good mind, to show the relationship. But I mean, it's very tiring to sort of keep talking about the relationship.
Yes.
Now, let's see, I got a little dark color there. Here I am. I sort of wanted to try this, right? I'm trying it with vengeance. We're going on the air. I'm not trying it. I'm doing it, you know, and I'm sort of doing it in a way that it's like trying to learn a bicycle riding in 5 minutes in a certain way. It's quite hard. When I get desperate in painting, all sorts of things can happen. Here it's a little more difficult. Now let's see something.
Well, when you started drawing and painting from photographs, which is a long time ago now, were there lots of other people doing it? I mean, was that...
I don't know, because I hid it for a very long time.
Did you?
I used to paint over photographs of my own work. I mean, it did away with some certain problems. What, and you were worried that was somehow would be perceived as cheating? People still are telling me even today that they act as if you're cheating.
That's crazy.
They'll come in, they'll see a painting of mine, they know that they can't tell when I use it, when I don't. They'll still say, did you use a projector on that? Did you? So I say, well, what do you think? And they're totally confused. But
that's so silly, it seems to me.
Well, you'd be surprised. Well, how about... You know, did you sing it, or was it voice, that kind of thing?
Yes.
You look a little too respectable. We'll get that. We'll go home. All right.
Is Larry in command?
Okay, finito.
Next.
Benito, finito.